This week's topic is rate, ratio, proportion. Let's start by looking at the definition of each term. Rate is a type of ratio that is used in almost everything. It is used when comparing a unit to something else. For example, whenever we say 25 cents per egg, whenever we say $1 per apple, or $5 per student, or 350 quetzals to 1 Belize dollar. Those are some examples of rate. Let's now move on to ratio. Ratio is used when comparing two things. For example, 4 eggs to $1, $3 to 2 avocados, 7 boys to 3 girls, 2 cups of sugar to 5 pounds of flour. Have you seen some of these examples before? Think of places where you have seen them, or heard them, or used them. Now, how do we write ratios? There are 3 ways how we can write ratios. One, we can write ratios by using the word to. We can use, for example, 4 eggs to $1. We can write ratios using a colon. $3, for example, $3 to 2 avocados. And we can use, or we can write a ratio as a fraction. For example, 7 boys to 3 girls. The meaning of proportion is when 2 ratios are equal. For example, you use 2 cups of flour to make 10 bread rolls. So that would be equivalent to 4 cups of flour to make 20 bread rolls. Now how can we write it? We can say 2 to 10, we use the colon, is equal to 4 to 20. Or we can say 3 to 15 is equal to 6 to 30. Now, if the ratios are not equal, then the expression is not a proportion. Okay? So, let's say, for example, we have 2 to 3 is equal to 4 to 6. How to find out if 2 ratios are equal or proportion? First of all, we can find out by multiplying the means and the extremes. But what is the means? What do we mean by means and the extremes? Alright, we say 2 to 3 is equal to 4 to 6. These two numbers that are close to the equal sign, those two numbers are called the means. And the numbers that are far from the equal sign, those are called the extremes. Okay? So we multiply the extremes. So we say 2 times 6 equals 12. And we multiply the means. That means we say 3 times 4 equals 12. Now the two answers are the same. So that means that 2 to 3 equals 4 to 6. That is a proportion because both answers are the same. Alright, let's look at another example. 4 to 7 equals 8 to 15. So we multiply the means. 7 times 8 equals 56. We multiply the extremes. 4 times 15 equals 60. Are the answers the same? No. So this here is not proportion. Okay? Another way how we can find out if 2 ratios are proportion, we can use is by using cross multiply. Alright, so let's look at an example. 9 to 5 equals 3 to 2. We make each ratio into a fraction. So we say 9 over 5 equals 3 over 2. Alright, so we cross multiply we use a cross right here. 5 times 3 is 15. 9 times 2 is 18. Are the answers the same? No. So that is not proportion. 9 to 5 equals 3 to 2 is not a proportion. Let's look at another example. 15 to 12 equals 10 to 8. We make each ratio a fraction. 5 to 12 equals 10 to 8. Alright, so now we cross multiply. So we say 15 times 8 equals 120. 12 times 10 equals 120. The answers are the same. So this here, 15 to 12 equals 10 to 8 is a proportion. Okay, so those are two ways how we can find out if an equation or two ratios are proportion. Now let's look at how we'll find equivalent ratios. And we can find equivalent ratios by multiplying and by simplifying or reducing. Let's look at 4 to 5. How can I find equivalent ratios to 4 to 5? 1, by multiplying. So I multiply 4 times 2, and I do the same thing with the 5. 5 times 2. 4 times 2 is 8. 5 times 2 is 10. So that will be 8 to 10 is equal to 4 to 5. Another equivalent ratio would be multiplying by 5. 4 times 5, 20. 5 times 5, 25. And we can continue and continue and continue. Once you find equivalent ratios by multiplying, the list is going to be endless, because you can just take any number and you multiply it to the first ratio. Okay, and there you get equivalent ratios. Now the next one, let's look at another example. 20 to 16. We can find here equivalent ratios by reducing or by simplifying. So we divide. 20 divided by 2 and 16 divided by 2 will give us 10 to 8. Now we divide again another number, which is 4. 20 divided by 4 gives us 5. 16 divided by 4 is 4. Is there another number that can go into 20 and 16 equal? No. So those are the only two factors that can go into 20 and 16 equally. So that's it. All right, we cannot get more equivalent ratios here by simplifying. Yes, if we multiply, we are going to get many. But if it's by dividing or reducing, then there is only a certain amount of equivalent ratios that we can get to this number. So if you have any questions, you can just let me know, and I will be more than willing to help you.